Ah, yes. Good morning, pilgrims. Very, very, very good morning to you, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Good Day Grenada. I'm George Grant, and let's hang out for the next hour or so. Try and learn a few things, try and be informed, and hey, maybe a little entertainment as well. Taking a look at this morning's rundown. You've already seen this on the website. Well, the hurricane season is underway, but the shelters are still unknown. You heard me. You heard me. We also have the national report for you. And then, this being a Thursday morning, we're going to hear from Mr. Alan Bierzynski. Yes, sirree. So that's your rundown for the next hour or so. Let's get right into it. Pronto, pronto, pronto. This week, as I listened to the post-cabinet briefing, Senator Garraway briefed the media on the 2019 hurricane season. And I came to grips with the reason why so many people actually believe that God is a Grenadian. You've heard that? Yeah, especially starting, I think, after Ivan. That's when that saying became very, very popular. After what we went through some 15 years ago, we just somehow have not grown to the point where we take the hurricane season seriously. Know what I'm talking about? Well, last night, as I watched that briefing again, I was foaming at the mouth. I sat and listened to the rhetoric about how we ought to be prepared. I'm going to torture you by having you listen to just a wee bit of it.
The agency continues to do its work as it relates to emergency shelters. The team of inspectors would have gone out. Unfortunately, we have not yet received the current list for this year. The last year's list, we had 111 shelters, approved shelters. This year, we believe it's going to be a little more because we had support from the Canada Caribbean Disaster Risk Management Fund. In that, they provided resources to us for the upgrade of shelters to accommodate persons with disabilities. And some 14 shelters were upgraded. And I'm extremely, extremely pleased and thankful to the team from the Canada Caribbean Disaster Risk Management Fund. Yes, we had some delays. The team started the inspection in February, and my deadline was the 15th of May to have the report completed. They had some delays along the way, and that would have caused them to go into probably a week into the season. But that being said, we have shelters available. As I said, we have had 111 shelters approved from last year. What we do every year is an inspection of all the shelters to ensure that they have not been compromised, the integrity or the structure is not compromised, or just name it, just to give us the peace of mind to ascertain that those shelters are up and ready for use. So we have shelters. If there is a need now to activate any shelter, we have shelters available. The shelters were inspected already.
Okay, they're inspected, but you don't have that report.
So the shelters have been inspected. So I'm expecting the report by end of this week to say if we have more. And expecting to have more, as I said, given that we would have done some upgrade on some of the shelters, we should have more than the 111 we had last year. But these shelters have been inspected already.
So these inspectors, their work does not involve checking for safety and that kind of thing to make sure that they are does the inspection involve checking to make sure that the conditions of the shelter is fit to be a shelter? Is that part of what they are looking at?
Let me tell you, the inspection team, yes. The inspection team, you have an engineer, you have a fire chief, you have somebody from social development. You have someone from the chief of the team who is also a builder, contractor in that sense. So you have a team of persons from various fields with the competencies to ascertain that buildings are safe to accommodate persons should the need arise for a shelter to be activated.
Could you tell us what was the delay in inspecting the shelters and approving them ready?
I think it boils down to quite a lot is happening in this government. Quite a lot is happening. And you have a limited amount of engineers to get the work done. That is pure and simple. We had challenges with having engineers at all time at the inspection. So as I said, as you would realize, there is a boom in terms of construction and other activities, infrastructure development in the country. And it's the same set of engineers who have to qualify, do all the work. That's the reason, really.
You know, a couple of things jumped out at me. In another part of that briefing, he was imploring people to be ready, be prepared. Actually went as far as to remind us about an incident which happened, was it last year or the year before, where a storm didn't hit us, but there was just a tropical wave out there which dumped something like 8 inches here and caused the parish of St. George and the parish of St. David to be declared disaster areas. So be prepared, be prepared. Now, you have probably just seen a part where he talks about, the shelters not being ready. But you also heard him say, in the event that the need arises, there are, I repeat, there are shelters ready. Well, for Pete's sakes, if the shelters aren't all ready, why don't you at least tell the people, hey, look, in the event that something blows by here, you can go here, there, or wherever. No. We're going to wait now until next week, which will be week 2 of the hurricane season, before saying anything to anybody. Is it my way of thinking that's warped? I don't know. Maybe. Anyhow, good morning, folks. Hey, Max is out there. Fitzroy Adams is there. Arthur Langine is there. Benedict and Pele. John Bruno. Hello, Jean. Arthur Langine saying. No, I'm not going to say that, Arthur. I still do have some respect. I may be totally unpleased with the way things are being handled, but I will be respectful. John Bruno says, shelters. The buildings identified here in PM have never met the standards. Okay, All right, folks, I think you got the message. Let me take a little break here, and we'll come on back with the National.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company. Tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Boy, yo, they gonna fly with kite now. The wind picking up. I'm coming. Karim, what you doing? Fly my kite. Yeah, but not here. You can't fly kite near power lines, boy. Why not? The wind good. Because mommy say, kite threads conduct electricity.
Yeah, kite. He's right. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, it can cause power outages, or even worse, it can get shocked.
Come, they gonna fly them in the pasture.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kite threads conduct electricity. Do not fly kites near overhead power lines. This can lead to electric shocks and power outages. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, do not try to retrieve it. Release it and call GRENADAB. Always fly kites in open areas. Keep your kites far away from roads. And remember, always clean up after yourself.
GRENADAB, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
More than $3 million to be spent on retrofitting safe house for abused girls. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, June 5th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Government will be spending more than $3 million to retrofit the safe house for girls who have been and are at risk of being abused. The facility, purchased at just over $2.5 million EC dollars, is expected to open later this year and will be managed by the Child Protection Authority. Delroy Louison, Public Relations Officer in the Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Community Empowerment, accompanied the team on a recent tour of the facility.
Recently, the minister, accompanied by the chairperson of the Child Protection Board and the director of the Child Protection Authority, toured the facility, located in a secluded area, which, due to security purposes, will not be named. With mixed feelings, Minister Thomas spoke to our cameras.
I believe that girls should be protected in their own homes. However, I am happy that we as a government can protect girls who are in abusive homes or who are at risk, and therefore I am pleased that government has put monies to purchase this facility to house at-risk young girls.
According to the Social Development Minister, while government is committed to the overall safety of children, parents and families have a responsibility to protect their children.
As a government, we are committed to protecting every boy, every girl. We are hoping that families will take up responsibilities. Mothers and fathers will act to protect their children so they will not have to end up in this facility. We urge people outside there to be your neighbor's keeper, to look out and protect boys and girls. But as a government, we are committed to ensuring that girls and boys are protected, and we will do what it takes to protect them. We will put everything in place. We'll have cameras, the place will be properly fenced, we'll have security, we'll have house mothers, we'll have everything that will be able to protect a child. We will do everything in our power to protect them in this facility.
Thank you, Delroy. The safe house will be staffed with trained people who will be able to understand the needs of the young girls. Grenada and some of its OECS neighbors are working on a project to support the implementation of a regional education strategy which focuses on strengthening private school leadership and accountability. On Tuesday, Grenada hosted a National Educational Leadership Forum organized by the OECS with support from the Global Partnership for Education as part of the support strategy. Annette Moore reports on the one-day meeting which took place at the St. George's University.
The regional educational strategy aims to strengthen primary school leadership and accountability in the 4 participating OECS states. The Educational Leadership Forum involved principals of public and private primary and secondary schools, Ministry of Education officials, OECS officials, consultants from the UE Mona campus, and heads of universities and tertiary education. The forum was held under the theme Educational Leadership, a catalyst for propelling the education sector where every learner succeeds. Project consultant Dr. Marcia Stewart and head of the Educational Development Unit of the OECS, Sarah Simon, also shared views on the importance of school leadership.
In seeking to realize the provisions under the Article 22 of the revised Treaty of Bastille, the OECS Commission is pursuing with greater urgency a policy agenda that facilitates the seamless movement of education personnel and students, and more importantly, the existing use of our resources in member states. We have been engaged in the implementation of a regional strategy, the OECS Education Sector Strategy, which was endorsed by the Council of Education Ministers in 2012. The vision of this strategy: every learner succeeds.
Right across the region, we're seeing where our various Caribbean countries are recognizing and putting in place things which will impact the leadership in our schools, all towards student accomplishment. UWI Mona School of Education has been happy to be part of this initiative in the 4 countries that have been part of this particular project: Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. This forum actually is a culminating activity for this area of the consultancy.
The government of Grenada fully supports the OECS Education Sector Project, as we understand the benefits of improving the quality of education and also the direct relationship to economic and social development. I believe there is enough political will, enough passion among stakeholders, enough commitment to serve, and enough faith in the vision. Every learner succeeds.
Feature speaker Dr. Verna Knight, a UE Cave Hill campus lecturer who is also a native of Carriacou, presented on the theme Leading for Maximum Impact on Student Achievement, Context, and Considerations.
Of everything that we have learned about the art and science of enhancing student performance, school leadership is second only to teacher effectiveness in terms of importance. A 2009 study of New Leaders for New Schools found that more than half of a school's impact on student gains can be attributed both to principal and teacher effectiveness, with principals accounting for 25% of the effect and teachers accounting for 33% of the effect. Good school leaders are capable of transforming a school environment so that its students and its teachers flourish.
Knight says student achievement should drive individual student success and encouraged school leaders to use tools like the MCT assessment results to create positive change and results in their schools. She also advised principals to use their time wisely so that they can be more effective change agents. She emphasized that the overall goal in education should be to strengthen the delivery of quality education. The forum included panel discussions where attendees had the opportunity to discuss and give feedback on the topics of school leadership standards and new school leaders appraisal and appraisal guidelines. Additionally, school leaders presented the 6 most outstanding projects from the UE competency-based training professional development course. There was also a display of some of the projects from participants in that course. Shandalyn Niles-Scott, principal at the Constantine Methodist School in New Hampshire, St. George, received the highest score on that project. Tessa McQuilkin was also recognized for being the highest performing participant in that course. Several participants in the UE course received awards for outstanding performances during the course as part of the closing ceremony. For the National Report, I'm Annette Moore.
Thank you, Annette. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
The countdown is on to Grenada's most exciting music festival. Friday, 7th June is Sol EC Limited Rhythm and Soul Night with Kerry Hilson, the legendary Freddie Jackson, Eddie Bullen, and Jefferson Ramirez. Saturday, 8th June is Wester Hall Rum Reggae Fest featuring Busy Signal, Maxi Priest, Kimani Marley, Tamara St. Bernard, and more. The festival climaxes on Sunday, 9th June with a George F. Huggins Soca Fusion featuring the All-Stars with Tennyson John and Blacks, Patrice Roberts, Wes Ways, Jab King, and more. Gates open 7 p.m., showtime 9 p.m. Advance tickets $80 Friday and Saturday, $60 on Sunday, and are available island-wide. Limited VIP and season tickets at Grenada Optical and GoToFet.com. Grenada Music Festival 2019. Get your tickets today. Sponsors: Silver Sands Grenada, Hennessy, the Antillian Group, Coca-Cola, St. George's University, Glenelg Springwater, and Netherlands Insurance.
Welcome back. The OECS Commission has signed an agreement with Facebook Caribbean that will allow access to Facebook's disaster maps in an effort to improve emergency response for OECS member states for the 2019 hurricane season. Facebook's disaster maps are dynamic mapping resources with information about where populations are located, how they are moving, and where they are checking in safe during a natural disaster. Using this de-identified and aggregated information, relief agencies will be able to more effectively respond to the needs of affected communities with appropriate services and supplies. At a signing ceremony held in honor of the partnership, Claudia Giraldo, Facebook's public policy manager for the Caribbean, said the partnership will be beneficial to both parties.
We had discussed with the OECS, and Facebook has been looking closely at all the efforts that the OECS is doing in terms of disaster relief on preparedness. And we thought it would be great if they gain access to the disaster maps tool. The OECS has signed our licensing agreement, which enables them to have visibility on this tool to be able to better address disasters in the region.
Dr. Didicus Jules, Director General of the OECS Commission, says the agreement signed with Facebook gives them a working partnership that significantly boosts the social media outreach of the OECS.
It would also give us access to some of the analytics and data that are available through their platform. For example, with Signature today, we immediately have access to disaster maps for the OECS member states. This is going to be shared with the national disaster agencies and all of the OECS member states, and will be an invaluable tool in any disaster response that needs to take place in the event of a hurricane.
That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, June 5th. Let's recap the top story. More than $3 million to be spent on retrofitting safe house for abused girls. On behalf of everyone here at the Government Information Service who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Alrighty, folks, that's going to take care of your national report on this Thursday morning. And I'll tell you what, rather than going to a break, we're going to go directly to Mr. Alan Bierzynski, this morning. But just before, see, take a look. There he is. There he is, all decked off and ready to go. Even got his hair combed. I mean, I guess the guy is heading out this morning someplace. But I just want to acknowledge those of you on the social media. First of all, Kipling's joining us, and John Bruno is saying that the internet is terrible. Well, John, you know something, John? I was sitting here this morning looking at that report from the GIS, and I had a beautiful stream, beautiful stream. So I don't know. It may be your provider, but I do know that the signal is getting up to Facebook this morning. And he also says, while having a home for abused girls is important, why isn't there a push to rebuilding the Carlton home? Well, actually, John, I'm not sure how much government has to do with this, but I can tell you that the Grenada Cooperative Bank and a number of other corporate people in this town are trying to put together funds to rejuvenate that home. They are working their buns off. You heard about something called the Pump It Up Fun Walk? They're making some bucks. They're making some bucks. So the next time you hear about that, throw your little 2 cents in. And he also says, shelters, shelters. The buildings identified here in Petit Martinique never meet the standards. Yeah, he's referring to that first speech we did about preparedness for the hurricane season. Let's say good morning now to Mr. Alan Bierzynski. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm very well. Before I get into what I wanted to comment on, I would like to say that the program to raise funds for the rehabilitation of the Carlton Home facility, I believe is in its third year, led by the Cooperative Bank, which has this annual Pump It Up event.
Yeah.
Where they have managed to get on board certain corporate partners.
Yeah.
Flo, Hubbard's, Guardian General Insurance. They've been joined last year by Antillian Insurance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the objective is to raise $500,000 in 5 years and to offer these funds raised as seed money to the government to establish or re-establish a facility to treat substance abusers. The idea is that if government doesn't come through with counterpart funds or plan or anything else, then the trustees will have to determine what to do with the $500,000 raised through the efforts of the public and by the annual contributions of these corporate partners. So having said that, let us talk about self-awareness or self-image.
Okay.
And I say this because I was out this morning and I was in a business place, and when I came in, I noticed an individual on an elevated platform. So I presume this is a supervisor, long sleeve shirt and tie, and sitting in front of a computer monitor looking important. But then after I did some minor business and I got to the checkout counter, I saw that the individual, while still staring at the computer monitor, now had a telephone handpiece to his ear. And while I am prepared to accept that the conversation that the individual was engaged in was business related, the expression on his face did not suggest that. He looked as though he was having a little conversation with his girlfriend. You can tell when somebody is talking to their girlfriend, or boyfriend for that matter, by the stupid expression on their face. Now, the first time I saw this sort of thing was actually at a bank in Martinique, of all places, where there was a tall, distinguished-looking gentleman sitting at a desk. He was beautifully attired. he had a gold fountain pen. I think there were 3 sheets of paper in front of him on the desk. Remember, this was many years ago, before computers, before desktop computers, sorry. And while I was in line waiting to exchange some currency, I was able to observe this individual laboriously append his signature to one piece of paper after the other. But each piece of paper had to be so deliberately scrutinized before his signature was appended that I was impressed with the amount of time that was expended in ensuring that the said 3 pieces of paper were fit for his signature. It was a remarkable sight to behold. Now, what I don't understand, as I say, is people in business places who are in the public view ought to be more self-aware. Are they not concerned that the customers who eventually pay their salaries are looking at them? And I have to say that I am not impressed when I see someone sitting on an elevated platform looking at a computer monitor, and the impression I get from the expression on their face is that they're paying no attention to me, other customers, or to the business, but in fact appear to be conducting a private conversation. It is not looking good. Now, on the topic of not looking good, I was fortunate enough to observe a representative of young manhood in Grenada at a restaurant. And you and I both know what chairs are. So chairs have a back, and then there's a more or less horizontal platform on which you sit. And I would have thought that in order to be comfortable, you would seek to position yourself in order to gain the maximum support to your lower back. And so to make sure that as you start to use the supplied utensils, that is a knife and a fork, that you should be in a comfortable position. But I was taken by the fact that this individual appeared to have assumed the position of the, I think it's called the hypotenuse on a triangle. So you have the vertical, the horizontal, and opposite that, you have this, the third part of the triangle. Now, whether he was doing yoga, now you're getting there, except your back isn't straight enough. Now, whether or not he was doing yoga is beyond me, because I thought he came there to consume a meal, which presumably someone had to pay for. He was accompanied by a female. But I couldn't understand why one would attempt to make oneself so terribly uncomfortable when chairs were designed to make you comfortable. Why ignore the purpose of the chair? And then that started me thinking, because we see on TV where it appears that in order to appear twice, right? In order to seem important, that it is necessary to present yourself in front of the cameras in the largest armchair possible. But if you were to look at yourself on camera, you would realize that the larger the armchair, the smaller it makes you look. And it doesn't matter how many flags adorn the background. If the chair is too big for you, it makes you look small. Can no one tell anyone, get a chair that suits you? I'm sure that there are chairs that are available which will fit you. Remember, you're coming onto the camera. And anyway, what can one say about people who have no sense of image, no sense of self-awareness? It goes to the other issue called manspreading. Manspreading is when you have on a jacket and tie, and you are sitting to explain certain matters or to respond to certain issues. And instead of sitting properly in your armchair, you have your two-leg open mouth. That is what is called man spreading. And while it may be appropriate for the rum shop, if you're playing dominoes, if you're on the cricket field waiting for your turn to bat or to bowl, man spreading is not appropriate when you are wearing a jacket and tie and sitting in an armchair and addressing important people. To wit, us, we are the important people. And so this is why I tend so frequently to find myself turned off when there are important matters to be addressed. Why can't we get some image consultants to help the people who come before the cameras? Encourage them to learn that what is recorded on video is recorded for a very long time. And every 5 years, somebody is going to check their library and find the most embarrassing clips to bring out into the campaign.
And put it on social media.
Fortunately for me, I will not be running. I will not be seeking your vote. And so it matters not to me whether I have a hair out of place, whether I shaved or didn't shave, or whether I have Bob Marley or Eric Carey on my shirt. It matters not. So, I'm done.
You're done. Okay. Mr. V, speaking of...
Five minutes.
Oh, yeah. See, Mr. B has to run this morning. But you mentioned something that caught my attention there. You were talking about customers and the clerks in different business places. You know, only on Monday of this week, I have this problem with our banking system here in Grenada. Earlier this week, I went into a bank downtown. I'm not going to mention the name, because it pretty much happens at all of the banks in this place, okay? 8 wickets, Mr. Bierzynski. 8 wickets. 3 customer service representatives, 3 clerks, if you will, okay? And Mr. B, as always, George starts to count, and he counts 23 people waiting in line. All right? Now, that's bad enough. One of the 3 customer service representatives leaves and goes to a phone. And she is talking on the phone. And this is the reason, because of what you were just saying, this is why I managed to remember this. She's talking on this phone, and there are customers waiting to come up, and I couldn't hear what she was saying, but she's there. You know this is not a business call, all right? That galled my behind, Alan.
Absolutely.
And it
is a complete lack of self-awareness. Why do you think that because you are behind the counter and you're on the phone that we can't see the expression on your face?
Never mind that. The people who have no other time but their lunch hour to go to the bank to do a transaction, and then when they get back to the office, their boss cut their tail. You know, that really ticks me off. You mentioned earlier on that the funds were being raised for the Carlton home, and you said that it could happen that if they don't know what to do with the funds or whatever, they'll go to government. Arthur Langine says here, I don't trust the government with the money.
Well, I think the trustees have a similar opinion, which is why at the end of the 5 years, if there has been no firm commitment or demonstration of commitment by government, the funds will not be handed over. The funds are currently in the cooperative bank as they are raised and are subject to determination by the Board of Trustees.
Okay. And once again,
which does not include anyone from government.
I salute Co-op because they've been really religious about this drive. They're having fun doing it, but they're working their buns off. And also salute the other companies that have come on board. Amy, you know that every year I have an issue with those who are responsible for disaster management in this country. Alan, have you? I don't know where to start with this question. Have they really?
No, what we think is we saw a national disaster on television this week explaining that after the commencement of the hurricane season, he still can't tell us what is a complete list of hurricane shelters.
I did a piece on that this morning. I showed the people him saying that. Alan,
he's a national disaster.
He is a national disaster. Alan, that is appalling, appalling. And this week, after the season has begun, NADMA starts sending out every day a daily hurricane tip. So far, they have sent out 3. Today is what? Today is the 6th. One came in yesterday that says, remember to stock more canned foods in the hurricane season. That's your tip. Alan, we're in trouble. And I'm urging the people who are watching and listening right now, make it your initiative to prepare yourself for the hurricane season, okay? Because obviously, they don't like it when I say this, but I can't say anything else. They don't care.
And don't wait for the debushers to come around. Clean your property boundaries, clean your drains if you can. Because even if we don't get a named storm, we are likely to have heavy rain. And you know what has been happening when we have had heavy rain. Just last year, we had significant flash floods. What is the reason for the flash flooding? It's because when we have heavy showers of rain, the drainage is blocked or non-existent. So clear the drains. That's my hurricane tip.
All right. Margaret,
and I gotta go.
Okay, Margaret is taking issue with you and me here. She says, how do you know it's not a business call? She's talking about us and the customer.
Oh, yeah. But I thought we made it clear that what we are looking at is the expression on the face. And if you looked businesslike, we would not have the suspicion that you were engaged in a personal call.
All right.
As I said, if you're talking to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you just get a stupid expression.
She says here, does one have to wear a
Anyway, bye-bye.
Okay. I see your wife in the background. He's got to go. Okay, so Alan's out of here. Margaret also says here, does one have to wear a sour face to be on a business call? I speak to many clients on the phone that don't have a clue who they are. And these conversations are pleasant and sometimes have both participants laughing. It doesn't mean we're not discussing business. Okay, you may have a point there, Margaret, but I think generally people understand what we're talking about. Get out of here, Mr. Bierzynski, and thank you very much. So I wanted to ask him about this road fatality we had on Saturday. He and I have harped about, traffic in this place, but he does have to run this morning. So, you heard about it. Another fatality in Lansipine. And can you believe, folks, up to this morning, I have not received a word from the Royal Grenada Police Force. This happened on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Huh? Okie dokie. Well, Pilgrims, looks like we're going to be pulling the curtain down a little bit early this morning, unless you got something up your sleeve that you would like us to sort of start a little discussion on, I'm game. So we'll take a little break here, and we'll come back, wrap it up.
My name is Kizzy Marisha. I've been a confectionery maker 16 years now. Well, as a child growing up, my grandmom always make fudge and always make any candies, cakes, as I remember. And I always have an interest in that, It's like when I'm in the kitchen, I'm very happy. If you're making coconut fudge, you just grate the coconut, you squeeze the milk, and then you strain it, and then you add your sugar, and then you put it to boil. And then after, when you reach a certain stage, you get thicker, so you got to beat it. Then after, when you beat it, you pour it out, and then wait for a few minutes to get hard, and then you slice it, you cut it, and then after you break it up, and then you package it. Yeah. Providing food fair 16 years now. I remember when I just go dropping in the fudge, I was a bit younger too, and I met Miss Harris. So I went and I said, I have a product here, some fudge. I was wondering if you all would be interested to take some fudge or candies from me. I showed her, she said, you look very nice, So she said, I'll try it. So she told me to bring back some another day. So that's when I started, but Miss Harris took it from me, and then they would start, so, I had a good relationship with them. Of course, I felt special, at least somebody taking my thing local, and, other people can see it, because if I just have it, much people come, a lot of people comes in, they're foreigners, so it was kind of special, and especially when I go in there, all the workers is very nice to me. If I pass and they say, Kizzy, you bringing anything this week? The thing finished, they always look out for me. That's what I like. The atmosphere is nice in there. My name is Kizzy Marisha. I work with Food Fair to provide you with sweet treats.
A natural disaster can change your life in minutes. Preparation is the best protection for your family and business. Prepare now. Create a disaster plan and make sure everyone knows what to do. Store water, non-perishable food, and medication. Remember basic emergency supplies such as batteries and flashlights. Trim overhanging trees. If trees near power lines are unsafe to trim, call GRENADA at 237 for assistance or advice. Install surge protectors to safeguard your electrical devices against outages and intermittent surges. For more information, visit grenadac.com.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, just let me say this here. Margaret, yo, Margaret. Margaret, you made a very valid point here, and I've been thinking about that during the break. But I also understand that you're playing devil's advocate. I think I know you well enough. You are playing the devil's advocate. But I think you also understand, as we all do, what Alan and I were talking about this morning. Yeah, let's be honest. Dung-a-dung-a-dung. Let's be honest. Pilgrims, I think that's going to do it. You know, we've, over the last couple of weeks, we've imposed quite a bit on your time and gone well over the hour that's been allotted to us. So this morning we're going to give you about 8 minutes or so back. All right? Let me wrap it up with a parting word from Matthew 23, verses 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth Father, for you have one Father, and he is in heaven. Nor, hold on a sec here. Hold on a sec here. Yeah. Margaret says, you just blew your audio. Well, looks like we got it back. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for today's edition. We thank you for joining us for this abbreviated edition. Hey, Benedict is also saying no audio, so hold on a sec now. Obviously, you guys missed that reading from the Holy Scriptures, okay? So I'm going to repeat it. Matthew chapter 23, verses 8 to 12, what says, but you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth Father, for you have one Father, and he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Matthew 23, verses 8 to 12. So, actually, looks like we're only going to be falling short about 5 minutes. Hey, thank you. Thanks a lot, Pilgrims, for joining us on this Thursday morning. Going to go run some errands right now. I do wish you have a wonderful day, and by God's grace, let's get together again tomorrow morning for the next edition of Gudday Grenada.